Hey, my sexy souls. How are you all doing? We are going to get into, been called for some time to do Sisterhood of the Rose reading. And so I'm getting to that. Spirit kind of made sure that I did today. And so we're going to just go ahead. I don't have a clue what's going to come through. We're going to dive in and see what's up. They're calling me to the Angel William Oracle of Emanations. Just a reminder that I read into energies, so I interpret it as best I can. We don't get caught up on all the genders and everything that's like that. Time is real, but it is not necessarily linear. Okay, and so when you get this is when you need to get this. All right, definitely check out some of the other readings within the playlist for Sisterhood of the Rose. And I have a feeling that we're going to start doing some readings for the Brotherhood. Brotherhood supports, looks out, and protects the Sisterhood of the Rose. So, all right. Oh, and I also do read from the book for the Oracle decks, or at least most of them. I don't do like Lenormand and Kipper and things like that. Reason being is because these are heavily infused with the intentions of the creator, and so that always plays a sharp factor. You're like, I just realized this is like playing center stage in my video. I'll stick it over here. Meh. All right, so me watching my computer just because it was glitching on YouTube when I went live, but it seems to be not glitching. I don't know what was going on, honestly, but it seems to be doing okay right now. Yeah, so interesting. Azrael, Angel of Death, Transformation. We all love to hear that, don't we? Oh, shit. Okay. Alrighty. So we got some heavy hitters here. Angel of Death. Angel of Vengeance. Angel of Visions. The Crown. Spirituality. Let's get into this. I did not anticipate having to read that many, but okay. There's a reason for it all. And again, these are not in alphabetical order. It'd be so much easier. You'd think by now I would know exactly what page everything is on. I think I feel like I'm going to write me a cheat sheet in the front so I don't have to do this shit. That would be smart. Azrael. That's the name of the cat in the Smurfs, just saying. Anyways, don't know why I went there. Here we go. Okay. The assistant to man's creation and the architect of the human body. Azrael stands alone on the shores of mortality, helping remove the souls. I've got to turn a page. From the bodies of dying men, like precious seeds from the rotting core of an apple. The grim harvest is not to be feared, but demands respect, as few other things in time and space. From under the shroud of purpose come the hands of Azrael. Do not search here or there. It will reveal itself in time. It will breach the surface for a moment. It will take you and pull you under. You will know, and the knowledge will fill you up, even as it consumes your soul. Reread that little piece again right there. Do not search here or there. It will reveal itself in time. It will breach the surface for a moment. It will take you and pull you under. You will know, and the knowledge will fill you, even as it consumes your soul. Just on that, it's, to me, that also talks about the fear. You know, when we try to force two things. Well, we have begun our path, our personal path of self-growth and expansion and ascension, whatever you fucking want to call it, awakening, whatever terminology you use to describe that. When we first start that, how many times did we try to make it go faster? How many times did we try to, okay, now I'm done. Oh, and like we would almost like try to find things to work through sometimes. Like you just wanted to, I'm going all in. This is what's what, and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of times we had to wait for a moment to pull it up from the depths. Right? A trigger, a person, an encounter, an experience, just something that would help us understand, that initiated that next step, that next piece of healing and uncovering, right? That death and coming back out, the purge, whatever you want to call this. There's a lot of times we wanted to speed the process and we couldn't. And what we didn't realize is in surrendering, we actually allowed the process to unfold as it should, which made it faster. Thinking back on how many people actually go to therapy for 20 years and never make headway on the things that internally are plaguing them, the void. In society today, we really show people how to cope with things versus healing things, which means integration, right? Okay? And so when you get accustomed to the process of what it means to uncover things, to unpack it, to purge it, to recalibrate, and to integrate it and embody it, the more often you do it, the more it becomes a part of how you operate. Sometimes you don't even realize that's what you're doing. It just becomes a part of you. It no longer feels hard or difficult, like it was before. You don't fear the process anymore. You know exactly what to do, and you just allow it. And when you get through some of the core wound healing, the core wounds, when you get through that healing, you come out of that, there may still be things that come up, remnants, particles, that kind of thing. But when you come out of the core, healing the core wounds, you realize just how fast it went by. That who you are today is nothing like what you were then. Spirit wants me to reiterate, this is the truth for other people as well. You cannot hurry someone else's healing. You cannot try to force the transformation that we call death. The death of the old self or the old lens, the old paradigm, anything. They're on their own path. How they operate and how they walk their path says nothing about you. It doesn't lend itself to say that what you've learned is invaluable or that you yourself haven't learned it. And that when we buy in so much and it get attached to the notion that we should be able to help people, we are creating another wound for ourselves. And that in and of itself may be something we need to look at. That might be another fragment for us that's coming up. We've got to get out of this rescuer mode. Now, I think that sometimes we define rescuing somebody as something that it's really not. You hear people who all the time, we shouldn't help X, Y, and Z, and we shouldn't because that's just rescuing them. Rescuing is when you take on the responsibility of the healing for the person. That's rescuing. Offering help and understanding that we are all connected and we are all one, whether or not it gets them to the place that ultimately they want to get to, is irrelevant. That's not rescuing. Rescuing is when we take on the burden, when we take on the responsibility of healing for another person, for anything that's outside of ourselves. We are only responsible for ourselves. So you can't, as much as you can't hurry the process for yourself, and you don't go into every situation. I can tell you, a lot of us have done this. We go into a lot of situations looking for a reason, like, is it me? Sometimes red flags happen. Sometimes things go about and your intuition says, oh, but we want to question the intuition. Now, is that the intuition, or am I being triggered? Or am I da-da-da-da? Almost as if we are operating out of yet another false program that somehow setting boundaries looks like this. And that if we get triggered and act like this, we aren't healed. Hello, here's the thing. Being triggered can happen whether you've healed a core wound or not. When something doesn't sit right, we want to shame the shadow aspect within ourselves and not operate from it. We're not all light, okay? Let's use a Christian analogy here, all right, since we're doing Sisterhood of the Rose, where God states that he cannot forsake himself and that everything that he has created is in the image of himself. So if we are created and something has the propensity to go dark, to vibrate at a low frequency, then that must be an aspect of God himself, of source. He, she, it, whatever this entity is, source has all the range, with the frequency of love being at the core of it. Love is the acceptance and the understanding and the integration of all. Source is all of the alls, as Paula Burt would say. It's all of it. So if we are made in the image, or if source is in us and I am in source, then that means I also, that which I find or deem to be dark or a low frequency within me, my shadow, is also a reflection of source. And that if source cannot forsake itself, neither should I. I should love all of those. And there's a difference between utilizing those parts of yourself to gain and garner a greater understanding of you and how you operate with any situation, but also using that as a lens and an understanding for how to operate within a situation because of others. Like, there's a difference between that and then completely separating yourself and operating solely out of that energy or that aspect of yourself and not taking into consideration or integrating the lighter side of things. There's a difference. And I think that sometimes we shame and push away those pieces. That's the reason I'm going on this tangent. Just stay with me. We shame and push away those pieces, and this notion that we have to stay in all love and light is wrong, because that is forsaking, that is judging, that is oppressing a part of ourself. That's not integrating. So, again, there's a difference between helping somebody and trying to rescue them. All right? Do not take a responsibility for another person's healing. And there's a difference between walking with someone along their path of healing and either yanking them along and dragging them, pushing them, shoving them. That's not what we're talking about. You can definitely walk along while they do their pace, but at no point does that responsibility fall on you or have a reflection on you or your capabilities or what you or your gifts, is what I'm hearing. Okay? Semikiel. Fuck if I know. Angel of Vengeance. Yeah, I know it's going to be on my other end, isn't it? Oh, jeez. All right, I will put a little thing in here, I promise. When the time comes, we all call its name. It is ever the instinct in our throat when we seek in every syllable. Sorry, let me make sure you get this. In every syllable. But those who call on Samikil without cause will have harm fall back upon them threefold. It is the way of Samikil's sword, cutting in both directions. While we will gird our fragile hearts against being hurt, pain will make its attempts on us by any means necessary. It is in our soul to survive at all cost, even if it means violence. Try to resist the urges of your barbed heart. Samikil knows not forgiveness. Let's do this again. Angel of vengeance. So, we call upon, when the time comes, we all call upon vengeance, is what they're saying. It is ever the instinct in our throat when we seek retribution. We choke on it even as we languish in every syllable. I feel like I skipped a couple sentences where they're having me. But those who call on Samikil without cause will have harm fall back upon them threefold. So this is also talking about operating, I feel like, from your shadow. Allowing yourself and integrating that to be as a part of you. Sometimes we want to question, have I really healed everything? Have I really addressed this, that, and the other? And sometimes the only way to establish a boundary and set things straight with somebody and to create a safe environment for you is to, how do I say this? Oh, that's like, I was wondering what was going on. Sorry. Fuck. Don't mistake setting boundaries and righting a wrong as operating from your shadow necessarily. Or a low frequency, let's put it that way, because we can all operate out of our shadow at a higher frequency. That's something that we need to understand. It's not exactly the same as, whatever means to an end. Like somehow the end product or the outcome justifies the means. That does not necessarily mean that. It's not, I wouldn't equate necessarily the two. This is a situation where I think it's restructuring what we deem vengeance. It's like that justification. Using something as justification when it's really not. Case in point, our spirituality. I just talked about this earlier, and I feel like there's some of us in the sisterhood that need to be reminded of these things right here, and this is probably going to be the entire reading, something tells me, because in actioning what it is that we are here to do, we need to remember these factors. We need to set the boundaries down for ourselves so that we can live out our purpose. Being strong and powerful within yourself and your truth is not a negative thing. And I think that we question when we do that, whether or not we're operating negatively out of our shadow. Our shadow is a part of our intuition. Our intuition uses it as a means to talk to us all the fucking time. Our shadow is also, I'm reminded of that saying again, going back to the Bible, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I fear no evil. Because our shadow walks with us. Because our shadow exists because we've walked and lived and breathed through the valley of the shadow of death a multitude of times, because I have seen and lived and breathed in, I want to say evil, and come out the other side. And the only reason I fucking survived is because of my shadow. The reason I'm here today is because of who I used to be. That person is the one that got me to this point. Nobody else. We need to be mindful, though, on this journey, and this is a part of the discernment when we are dealing with other individuals who deem themselves spiritual, awakened, on this personal path of expansion, we need to be aware that some people will. I'm going to give you another example. I know that it's great to call somebody out and understand when people are projecting on you. But I have also seen spiritual people say, oh, they're just projecting. Are they? I don't think so. I think maybe you're just fucking triggered and there's something there that you might want to pay attention to. We don't get to, if there's something that we don't like, where the universe or spirit or anybody is reflecting back to us what we have inside, we don't necessarily, I think that we use that as an scapegoat sometimes. They're just projecting. I mean, well, isn't everything a fucking projection then? Everything, anything we send out is a projection of our lens, but does it necessarily mean that it's inaccurate? No. So, this whole vengeance of don't call on its name unless it's warranted, I think that's the discernment piece. On this path, we are going to encounter individuals who say they are spiritual and are so operating at a very low frequency. The ego runs. Ego, not eagle. That sounded like eagle. The ego runs a lot of things. It's also about picking your battles. You know what I'm saying? This is, when is it necessary to right or wrong? When is it my responsibility to call somebody out on their shit? When is it my responsibility to stand my ground? And how I stand my ground, how I execute and exercise my beliefs, and how I establish my boundaries. Okay. This is discernment, and all of that is what I'm getting to. Okay. And understanding that this isn't cookie cutter. We don't, I've been in some spiritual groups where it's like, well, if you do X, Y, and Z, then it's automatically this. No, it's the intention and the energy you're putting behind it. I can say very nice things. That's what passive aggressive is. I can say very fucking nice things from the South, know this, and have some shitty ass fucking energy behind it. Making sure I wasn't on mute. There was something that told me to look over there. And so for me, it's like, you're creating an environment of oppression if that's what you do for yourself. If this looks like this and this always looks like this, okay? Your understanding in every scenario and situation of what the energy is comes from within in your body, not something that's been computed by your mind. Okay? These are all different pieces. I'm getting a lot of different pieces from this, but I feel like there's some people that really need to hear this. And I'm sure it'll make sense. Okay? So this is a huge piece about discernment. This is, you can't force transformation for yourself or someone else, and that you cannot take responsibility for someone else's healing. You cannot take responsibility for someone else's actions. Only your own. Don't get too wrapped up in always assuming that by you actioning your truth, you're not always operating out of your shadow aspect, and operating out of your shadow aspect is not always negative. Okay? It is an aspect of ourselves that is necessary. We integrate it. Okay? Remiel. This is upside down. The shepherd of good graces, a shining light in the distance, beckoning us forward into the future. The green pastures beyond the next hill are hard to see. Remiel assures us that things will get better. It whispers, something is coming, and it is beautiful. Keep pushing toward the horizon, toward the setting sun. As the light fades, you will feel as if someone is watching you. Far in the distance, you see a lone figure walking, a dove on its shoulder. You stop for a moment to marvel at this vision. When you move again, it is gone. You hear a flutter of feathers as the dove lands gracefully on your shoulder. The shepherd of good graces, a shining light in the distance, beckoning us forward into the future. Okay. You can't take responsibility for someone else's healing. It's not a reflection on you, what you've been through, your experiences, or your abilities and your gifts. You can only be responsible for your energy, your actions, your truth. And your truth is not always someone else's truth. Live in integrity and authenticity for yourself, but at no means should you take on someone else's definition, someone else's truth, or responsibility for someone else's path. Okay? This also goes for individuals who have maybe wronged you or will wrong you as you continue on. Walking down this path of self-growth does not make us immune to negativity happening in our life. It's all about how we address it. Okay? Maybe it is using your shadow aspect to establish boundaries. You don't always have to. But when some people, their path is different. And if they wrong you, establish your boundaries, which we sometimes call vengeance. It's okay to right wrongs, but be careful that you don't get wrapped up into either the expectation or attachment to someone receiving their karma right in front of you, right? We call it karma. The reciprocity of the universe. Don't stay attached to the need to see somebody punished for their wrongdoings or the need to have an explanation as to why something occurred. You already know why. Everybody is on the path that they are on and encountering their learning curves and their lessons at the pace that they need to go. Take that understanding with you and move forward. You know that there's something more for you, and not everybody in your life or that you encounter is going to go there with you. Not everybody is going to understand the path that you're on, the words that you speak, the changes in your energy. They won't. But do not allow that to be a hindrance. Do not get wrapped up in that. Do not get wrapped up in the things that have occurred in the past, things that begin to fall away, the endings, the death. Don't get so attached to all of those things. There's something waiting for you that's coming. This is where your attention should remain. The crown. Keter. I at least know he's in the beginning. It's a very serious reminder. A lot of the readings today have been, let's remember this, versus something actually coming or really delving into certain things. It's like, let's remember this, okay? Keter, the first emanation. The first utterance, the font of energy through which, I always butcher it, Insof emanates into the universe. The crown sits above the head and embodies that which is beyond our comprehension. One must envision Keter not as an object that can be perceived, but as the light that is cast upon it. Keter's light is beyond knowability, a timeless expanse of pure consciousness. Only through respect for our own limitations do we begin to see the shadow of its nature. As the highest point on the tree, all continuums cascade downward from it. Keter stands in contrast to Malkuth, who rests at the very bottom of the tree. The span that lies between them measures the complete distance from the most spiritual to the most physical aspects of our existence. Journeying downward from this point, all other emanations become increasingly close to our present experience. I think that we've got the Angel of Visions and we've got this, and it is spirit speaking to us. It's almost like downloads coming through the crown chakra and being interpreted and understood through the third eye. Does that make sense? Making it manageable and understandable within this existence. You know that something's coming. You know that you can see things from a different perspective than some of the individuals you will encounter on your path and those from your past. Trust and know and believe in what you are receiving from spirit and the guidance that you get. Something is coming. Spirit is showing you. You can feel it. Walk towards that. Follow your higher self. What's coming through your crown chakra is what's meant for you. It is your path. Do not be swayed from your path as people fall away or because they're not walking the same one as you. I think there's a level of acceptance that needs to occur in this situation, an understanding of what your gifts are and why you have them and what that means for your life. And staying true to what your truth is, to your spiritual connection with Source. And not allowing the oppressive and separatist nature of our existence to deter you from this. See things from a higher perspective. I don't know if I need to pull another card, and this is only 30 minutes and I'm used to going so much longer, but this is like a message that somebody needs, and I felt very melodic in the way that I was delivering it. I'm usually super fast paced. Whatever this energy is just wanting to bring back that profound understanding. Quit holding on. Don't worry about the things that have occurred. Obviously, walking this path doesn't make you immune to shit happening. See the bigger picture. Stand your ground, but don't try to be someone's karma. Things will even out. Reciprocity happens in this universe. People will transform in their own time. People will fall away. Don't try to anticipate it. Don't worry about it. And don't allow the knowledge that this could happen to stop you from where you need to go. From where you know you are meant to go. Something is waiting for you. Don't be afraid that it too might fall away. Everything's done in its own timing. Don't hold on to the past and what has not worked or what's gone on before. Hold true to what you know is coming. And action it from your truth. All right, we're going to leave it there. Something tells me we will be able to come back to this. I'll probably do another reading here soon. But apparently this kind of needs to sit with some people. So, hope it was beneficial. If you liked it, hit like on the video. And I will see everybody again soon. Have a wonderful day.